I've built this AI agent inside of N8N, and all I need to do is drop a brand URL into a Google Sheet. And what my agent's going to do is go ahead and scrape all of the Trustpilot reviews for that brand, format it correctly, and store it into a database. Then I give my chat AI agent access to that database, and I'm able to ask it specific questions like, what are the top 3 complaints from customers for this brand? Give me specific customer quotes for each complaint. Now, what my agent's going to do is go through all of that data inside of that database containing all of those reviews and come back to me with a specific response. And the response that you get is extremely detailed. So I've got the top 3 complaints, but I've also got very specific reviews from that brand's actual customers. Now imagine the possibility of research using a tool like this when it comes to creative strategy. Imagine coming up with ad angles, the possibilities of discrediting your competitors, and most importantly, spying on your competitors, not just using their ad library, but using their own customers. AI agents are going to change the game for creative strategists completely in 2025. And if you stick with me for the next 25 minutes, not only am I going to show you a step-by-step process on how to build an AI agent like this from scratch, even if you have zero experience in coding, I'm also going to give this exact workflow for you to download for free so you can plug and play this in your own N8N project within minutes. So quite a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And if you're new to my channel, my name's Mo. I'm a lawyer turned creative strategist. I'm the founder of Craft Ads. We're a creative agency based in London, and we help brands create killer ads using a combination of artificial intelligence and human psychology. If you're a brand that needs ads, I'm going to drop a link to my agency website in the description below. Feel free to book a call with us. Now, for the purposes of making this video simple and easy to follow, I'm going to break it down into 3 steps. In the first step of this video, I'm going to show you how to connect your scraper to N8N. In the second step, I'm going to show you how to format the raw scraped reviews correctly and store it into a vector database. And in the third part of this video, I'm going to show you how you can create chat AI agent and connect that to the database where you've got all of your reviews. So to get started, you're going to head over to n8n.io, create an account in here. I've already done that, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Once I've signed in, I will see this overview dashboard that contains all of my agents that are active or inactive. For this video, we will create workflow. For a workflow or an agent to start working, there needs to be a trigger. A trigger essentially tells our agent when to get started or what happens before it gets started. For this agent, we are going to start with a Google Sheet trigger. So you're going to click on add first step, type in Google Sheets, look for Google Sheets, and look for the trigger on role added. Now, very important thing in this step is that you need to connect your Google Drive to N8N. I've already done that, but if this is your first time, you will click on create new credential and sign in with Google. Follow the steps, pretty simple to connect, and then click on save, and it should say that the credentials have connected with N8N. Now, for the trigger frequency, I've left it for every minute, but based on the type of agent that we're connecting or creating, we can have the agent trigger every minute, every hour, every month, whatever is required for our purposes. Again, leaving that at every minute. Now, from documents, before you go into this section, you will have to go into Google Sheets and create a Google Sheet with that same account that's connected to N8N. And inside of that sheet, we're going to have column A with the brand name and then column B with the brand URL. I've already done this, and I've named this Google Sheet Brand Research Trustpilot Scraper. So if you're following along, go ahead and create this sheet and copy that name and search for that Google Sheet inside of your document list. Now, if you want to make sure that it's the correct sheet, you can click on this little icon here. It should take you to the sheet. So this is the correct sheet. I'm going to close that. I'm going to select that Brand Research Trustpilot Scraper sheet. From the sheet, we're going to choose sheet 1, essentially sheet 1 from this Google Sheet that we created. The trigger is on role added, meaning every time there's a new brand URL dropped in here, my agent's gonna trigger and scrape all of the Trustpilot reviews for that brand. So let's fetch event, and if everything's connected properly, you should see the brand name and the brand URL show up on N8N exactly as it is on your sheet. Let's go back to the canvas. That's done for this step. We are then going to connect the scraper to N8N. To do that, click on this plus icon here and look for this HTTP request node and click on that. Now, before we dive deeper into this node, you need to head over to appify.com trustpilot.com, and this is a website containing a wide range of scrapers for TikTok data, for Instagram data, for Amazon data. The possibilities of scraping data are endless. I've created an account here. You will need to create an account as well. So all I'm going to do is go to my console, and inside of Apify, this is what I'm going to see as my dashboard. If it's your first time signing in, you won't have any actors in here. So what you'll need to do is go into a store and look for actors to rent. So type in Trustpilot in the search bar, and there's a bunch of Trustpilot scrapers or actors that we can rent. Now, actors are essentially a fancy way to say scraper. For this video, we're going to use this Trustpilot scraper from Canada. So click on that. I've already rented this actor, but for you, once you go into this actor, you will have the option to rent actor. Now, inside is a couple of input fields. So first is the website that we want to scrape, optional variables that we don't really need to change. But one thing that we do need to change is the maximum number of results. Now, because this is a cheap actor, the maximum number of reviews that you can scrape at a time is 2000. So we're going to set that at 2000 and leave that the way it is. As you learn to play around with these actors in N8N, you can rent more expensive actors that allow you to scrape up to 10,000 plus reviews. Let's go back to N8N again. And if you remember, inside of that HTTP request node, we are going to set some of the parameters. For method, choose post for the URL, and this is going to be linked in the description below. I will copy and paste this URL, which essentially says api.apify.com/v2/acts/insert actor ID. Now, to find the actor ID, we need to go back to Apify again. Inside of your actor section, click on that Trustpilot actor that you've just rented. Look for the actor ID up here. And what I'm going to do is copy and paste that where it says insert actor ID. And next we will need to insert our API key. So to do that, again, go back to Apify, settings, API and integration, and in here you will see your API token for Apify to connect Apify to N8N. Now, your API key is a secret key, so you don't want to share this online. Obviously, after I post this video, I'm going to delete it or change it, but yeah, where it says token equals, and I'm going to paste the API key. For authentication, we are going to choose generic credential type, generic auth type, choose header auth. Now here as well, you will need to connect your Apify credential to N8N again. I've done that, but if this is my first time, I'll click on create new credential. Under name, I'm going to type in authorization with a Z. So if you're British, it's not an S, it's a Z. And for the value, I'm going to click on expression, type bearer, and simply copy and paste this API key from Apify and click, before I click save, I'm going to name this Trustpilot scraper and click on save. So I've got my Apify connected to N8N successfully. Now for this HTTP request node, I'm also going to rename this to run Canada. So go ahead and click on send headers using fields below. For name, it's going to be content-type, CNT capital. And for the value, we will type in application/JSON. Then click on send body content type JSON. And for specify body, we're going to use a JSON code. Now this JSON code we find from Apify. So go back to Apify, click on actors, go back to that Trustpilot actor that we just rented, and you'll see here the option for manual and JSON. So click on JSON and literally copy this JSON code and paste that in here. Inside of this code, you'll see a couple of things. The maximum number of reviews that we're scraping is 2000. Don't worry about the proxy. For the website, we want this actor to scrape the website that's inside of our Google Sheet here. And if you remember, we have the Google Sheet node connected on the left hand side. So click on schema, and instead of www.expensify.com, I'm just going to drag this brand URL bit and paste it between the quotes. Sometimes it does act up, and for example here it's pasted that code all the way at the end. It's not going to work, so I'm just going to cut that. So Command X on a Mac, Control X on a Windows PC, and then Command V to replace that Expensify website with the JSON brand URL from the Google Sheet. Essentially, it will tell our actor to scrape this specific website. Now we click on test event to see if things are working. You should see this output on the right hand side. We are then going to connect another HTTP request node, and this time we will name this get actor run. And for the method, it will be get. For the URL here, you're going to copy and paste this URL from the description down below. And after that slash that you see after runs, we're just going to click on schema from the left node or the previous node that's connected, drag this ID and bring this in here. Make sure that there's no spaces after the slash. So let's remove that space. So it should say something like api.apify.com/v2/actor-run/json.data.id. And this should be in green. We are going to choose generic credential type header auth, and we have our Trustpilot scraper connected. Click on query parameters using specific fields below. Name this wait for finish, and for the value 3000. Essentially, we're telling our agent to wait for the scraper to finish scraping for about 3000 seconds. Then you will click on send headers. For the name, type in content-type, similar to what we did before, CNT capital, value application/JSON. Everything seems fine. Click on test step, and this should come back with an output. What's happening right now is that actor. So if you go back to apify.com and click on runs, you'll see that actor is actually running. So it's scraping the data from Rise Superfoods, the brand URL that we've dropped into this Google Sheet. So going back to our canvas, you'll see that the actor is basically running. This does take a couple of minutes because it's going through all of those Trustpilot reviews and scraping it. My scraper is actually finished scraping, and my output on the left contains a bunch of data. Then I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus button again, look for another HTTP request node, click on that, and in here use method get, and I am going to use another URL which will be in the description down below. Now for json.data.default dataset ID, just going to go ahead and remove that because we will need to bring that in from the left side from the schema. So look for default dataset ID and paste it right before items. Actually, sometimes it does get buggy, so let's just take that item bit, remove it, remove any spaces, and then go in here /items. Now for the authentication, again, it's going to be generic credential type header auth Trustpilot scraper. Let's test this step, and on the right hand side we should see all of the reviews. So these are all the reviews that have been scraped from Rise's Trustpilot website, and you can see the text. For example, this says I've been using Rise for months now, getting away from traditional coffee. So yeah, I've got all of these reviews inside of this node. I'm going to call this node get data set. So we've got all of the data in here inside of N8N. That's the complete first part of this video. Now we need to format all of this data to then be able to store it into a database. And that brings us to the second part of this video. So click on that plus button again, look for a code node. So we're going to run a custom JavaScript code in here, remove all of this stuff, and you are going to copy and paste this specific code that again will be in the description down below. And let's test that step, and in the output we should see the review on the left. All right, now that we've scraped all of those Trustpilot reviews, formatted it correctly, we now need to store it into a database. And for our database, I'm going to use Supabase. So head over to supabase.com and create an account. I've already done that, so I'm going to continue with GitHub, and once I'm signed in, I will go ahead and click on new organization. If this is the first time that you've signed into Supabase, you won't have an organization, so you will need to create one. I will name this YouTube demo. Type of organization, personal, plan, free. Let's create. This does take a while, but once I've created an organization, I now need to create a project. So I'll name this Trustpilot Scraper. For password, make sure you remember this because you will need this later on. For the region, West Europe. Now let's create project. The project creation function does take a while. So even if I'm on the screen, as you can see, there's this little setting up project loader. And whilst the project is setting up, we can't really do much. So just have to really wait it out. Once that's complete and the project's been created, we will go onto the left and click on SQL editor, type in a query. This query I will leave in the description down below. Just copy, paste, and run this query. It should come back with success, no rows returned. Let's head to the table editor. You should see a table named documents. Perfect. Now head back to N8N again, click on this plus, look for Supabase vector store, and for the action we will choose add documents to vector store. I will need to connect my Supabase to N8N. To do that, let me just delete this old one. Let me show you from the start. So click on create new credential, host, go back to Supabase, click on project settings, data API. This is the URL that we copy. Back to init, paste, service role secret key. It's this one here. Reveal, copy, and paste, save. It should say credential successfully created. I'm gonna name this YouTube demo, click on save, and I should be done. Now from the list, we will choose documents. So this table that we've created, back to init. There's a couple of other steps that we need to do. So for embeddings, OpenAI embeddings. Now, before you can connect your OpenAI embeddings, you will need to connect your OpenAI account to init. So to do that, click on create new credentials, search for OpenAI on Google, click on OpenAI. You want to log in to the API platform. Once you're inside the API platform, click on API reference. There probably is an easier way to get to this, but this is for me the quickest that I know. Under API keys, you will see this access your API keys section. Let's name this YouTube Demo 2 project. I'm going to choose default project, create secret key, copy that key. Your OpenAI key should be private to you. Make sure you don't post it on the internet. Paste that API key in there and simply click on save. Actually, also make sure you rename this. I'm going to name this OpenAI test. Okay, once you click on save, credential successfully created. So you should have OpenAI connected to init. For embeddings, OpenAI embeddings, I like to use the text embedding 3 large because some of these reviews tend to be quite long. And for documents, click on that and default data loader, leave that the way it is. Go back again, text splitter, recursive character, text splitter, chunk size 880. Now I'm not going to go too in depth why these numbers are the way they are. Just want to keep this simple and easy for you to follow. Now head back to that Supabase vector store. Let's test this step. If this works correctly, all of those reviews should start to populate or be saved into our vector store, and that would be step 2 done for this video. So let's go ahead, fingers crossed, test step. Seems like things are going well. Let's go back to Canvas. Yep, head back to Supabase. Let's go to the table editor, head over to documents, and there you go. The reviews have started to populate inside of this vector store. The next step after all of these reviews are uploaded onto this database would be to then create the agent and then connect the database to that agent. This will take some time, bear in mind. It normally takes me about 10 to 15 minutes, so I just click on save and leave this the way it is. Also, I've renamed this workflow to YouTube Demo Scraper just to be a bit more organized with everything that I'm creating. Now, to finish off the last part of this video where I connect a chat agent that has access to this database containing all of those Trustpilot reviews from Rise Superfoods, what I will do now is click on that plus button again, add another trigger, click on chat message, add field, allow file MIME types, just click on that, leave that the way it is. Not going to make it too complex. Click on the plus button again, click on advanced AI and choose the AI agent. Once you've done that, go back, chat model, click on OpenAI, or this is what I like to use. You can connect Anthropic or Google Gemini, but for me, I like GPT 4o. For memory, now there's an advanced way for memory. I like to use Postgres chat memory. Now this allows my AI to have context of all of the chats or questions or queries that I've asked previously. This is a little bit complex to set up. For example, I've already done this. I've connected the credentials. For this video, I am just gonna go ahead with window buffer memory. So it's very easy to set up. Just select that, leave that the way it is. For your tool, we will type in answer vector store question answer tool. Here, you write a specific prompt to your AI agent, and that is, you are given the following context from actual user reviews. Answer the user's questions only using the provided context. If the answer is not found in the context, say, I don't know. For document name, type in document, limit 4. And for the vector store, click on that. And we are going to choose Superbase Vector Store. Make sure the credentials are connected, which we've done previously. And from the table list, we are going to choose Documents. For the embeddings, click on that. Go to OpenAI Embeddings. Choose Text Embedding 3 Large, the same embedding that we chose earlier. And for the model, I'm going to choose OpenAI ChatGPT 4o. So now is the big moment. Let's click on chat, see if this works. Let's just say, hey, okay, it's able to respond to me. Let's ask it the same question. What are the top 3 worst reviews from customers for this brand? Give me specific customer quotes for each complaint. Right, so this has come back to me asking me to give it a bit more context, but let's just copy this again. What are the top 3 worst reviews for Rise Superfoods? Let's test this again. Okay, it is going through the vector store. Okay, and there you go. Top 3 complaints: subscription scam concerns. Many customers have reported issues with being unintentionally enrolled into a subscription service when they were making a one-time purchase. Interesting. Lack of transparency and shady business practice. Some customers accuse Rise Superfoods of engaging in dubious business practices such as suppressing negative comments, particularly on their Facebook page. I do want to read specific quotes from customer reviews for each of these problems. I'm just going to try and say, give me a specific review for each of the problems mentioned above, and let's wait to see if it comes back with a specific review, which it should. Okay, there you go. Subscription scam concerns. I placed a one-time order to try their coffee, ensuring I did not select the monthly subscription option. I unexpectedly received additional shipment and was charged again. Wow. So there you go. I have a lot of insights about Rise Superfoods. Sorry, this is just for demo purposes. I'm not working for Rise Superfoods. I'm not working with any of their competitors, but if someone were to be working with their competitors, this is gold information. And there you have it. That is how you create an N8N agent that's able to scrape your competitors or your own brand reviews from Trustpilot, store it in a database, and you can have back and forth conversation with a chat agent to learn more about those reviews that you've scraped. Now in the description below, I will leave a link for you to download this exact workflow. So all you need to do is download it, click on import from file, and bring in that JSON file that I will provide to you, and essentially set all of this up as I've shown in this video. Thank you for watching.